All right, so welcome to this deep dive. We're heading back to Hogwarts.
Oh, back to Hogwarts!
Specifically to Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. You've given us some really interesting excerpts, and I am so excited to unpack them with you.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, even a single book can have so many layers to it. And today we're really going to go beyond the surface of the plot to that, kind of why behind the characters and events you've chosen.
Yeah, and even if you've read Order of the Phoenix like a dozen times, and let's be real, who hasn't? I think we're going to find some surprises along the way.
Absolutely. And listeners, don't forget to subscribe and follow our channel for more deep dives like this one.
Yes.
We're also on Patreon if you'd like to support our work.
Yes.
You can find the link in the episode description. We appreciate every bit of support.
Yes.
And would love to hear your thoughts on the episode in the comments.
One thing that just jumps out at me from these excerpts is like how much the Ministry of Magic is trying to, stick its wands where they don't belong.
Right.
Like they're really trying to control Hogwarts as much as they can.
Yes, and it's not even just about control. If you think about the ministry's actions, like with those educational decrees, Umbridge's inspections, it's almost as if they're making it easier for Voldemort to operate.
Right.
It's like they're so afraid to face the truth that they create this illusion of order that actually weakens everyone.
And that's where Umbridge comes in, right?
Oh, absolutely.
She's not just annoying.
Yeah.
She's like the embodiment of this whole ministry mindset.
Oh, yeah.
You can feel those characters just like choking on it, like when they're afraid to even talk about defense against the dark arts properly.
Absolutely. What's so interesting there is the parallel that Rowling draws between the ministry and real-world regimes, right? It's they're so focused on suppressing dissent that they become blind to the real danger.
Right.
And it makes you think about how easily fear can be manipulated and how important it is to question authority even when it seems really scary.
Okay, but here's where things get a little bit more complicated because we have the ministry being all controlling.
Right.
But then we have Dumbledore who's being almost distant.
Yes. And I bet you, like Harry, are wondering, what is up with that?
Right. Dumbledore's actions in this book are definitely a point of contention for many readers.
Yeah.
On the surface, it seems like he's abandoning Harry when he needs him most.
Right.
But remember, Dumbledore is playing a long game.
Right.
He understands the prophecy, the connection between Harry and Voldemort, and he's trying to protect Harry in a way that goes beyond just physical safety.
Well, there's that line where Harry snaps at Sirius and he says, "At least you've known what's been going on." Like you can feel that Harry's not just angry, he's hurt, and he feels betrayed by the person he trusts the most.
Yes, and this is where the book really starts to grapple with these really complex themes of mentorship and trust.
Right.
Like, is Dumbledore right to withhold information from Harry, even if it's for his own good?
Right. Or does this secrecy ultimately damage their relationship and make Harry more vulnerable?
Yeah, and remember, we only get Dumbledore's explanation much later in the book.
Right.
After things have gone terribly wrong.
Yeah.
It's like a classic Rowling move.
Well,
right?
absolutely.
Dropping these bombshells that make you reevaluate everything that came before.
It forces the reader to consider, would things have turned out differently if Harry had known more?
Yeah.
Could Dumbledore have found a way to protect Harry and be honest with him? These are questions that don't have easy answers, and that's what makes them so thought-provoking.
And speaking of thought-provoking, we can't ignore the elephant in the room, or should I say, the grim in the room, Sirius's death.
Right.
It's not just a sad moment, it's a turning point in the whole series.
It's interesting how you phrase that because Sirius's death is about more than just losing a loved one.
Right.
It shatters Harry's hope for a normal life, for a real family.
Right.
He's forced to confront this harsh reality that even in the magical world, there's loss and pain.
And it's not just Harry who's affected. Think about Sirius, trapped in Grimmauld Place.
Yeah.
This house that's practically a prison of his family's dark past.
Right.
Like, he's yearning for freedom, but he can't escape his own legacy.
That's a brilliant observation.
Yeah.
The house itself becomes a symbol of Sirius's internal struggle. He's torn between his desire to be there for Harry, to fight against the darkness,
Right.
and this feeling of being suffocated by the past. It makes his death even more tragic because you see how much he was yearning for something more.
And then there's the fact that Voldemort uses Harry's love for Sirius to manipulate him.
Right.
It adds this whole other layer of tragedy, right? It's
Yeah.
like love itself becomes a weapon in Voldemort's hands.
Exactly. And that raises such an important question about the nature of good and evil. Can love be twisted and used for nefarious purposes?
Right.
Or is there something inherently pure about love that even Voldemort can't fully corrupt?
Whoa, that's deep,
Yeah.
but it's so true.
Yeah.
Order of the Phoenix isn't just about wizards and spells. It's about these fundamental questions about human nature,
Yeah.
the choices that we make, and the consequences of those choices.
And the best part is Rowling doesn't offer any easy answers.
Right.
She leaves it up to the reader to grapple with those complexities and draw their own conclusions.
Right.
But that's what makes it such a rewarding read even years later.
Totally agree. It's a book that stays with you long after you've finished it. It makes you think,
Yeah.
makes you feel,
Yeah.
and it challenges you to look at the world, magical or otherwise, with a more critical eye.
Mm.
But let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Right.
We've got so much more to uncover in these excerpts.
Indeed. Shall we move on to some of the more subtle magic at play in Order of the Phoenix? I think our listener will find this next part particularly fascinating.
Yes, let's do it.
Welcome back to our deep dive into Order of the Phoenix. Now, we've been talking about some pretty heavy stuff like control, manipulation, loss. But one thing I find really fascinating about this book is how Rowling balances those darker elements with moments of pure wonder
Right.
and even humor.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, even when things are at their bleakest, there's still this sense of magic and possibility. I mean, she introduces us to Thestrals.
Yes.
These amazing creatures that only those who've seen death can see.
Right.
That's both beautiful and kind of spooky, right?
It's a brilliant stroke of symbolism, isn't it?
Yeah.
The Thestrals aren't just a plot device.
Right.
They represent a deeper understanding of life and death.
Mm.
Only those who faced loss, who've grappled with the fragility of existence, can truly perceive them.
It makes me think about how our experiences shape our perceptions.
Hmm.
Like, maybe there's all this magic and wonder around us all the time,
Yeah.
but we're just not equipped to see it until we've gone through certain things.
That's a really insightful point.
Yeah.
And it ties into Harry's journey in this book.
Right.
He's not just learning spells, he's learning to see the world differently, to understand the complexities of life and death.
Mm-hmm.
The Thestrals become a symbol of that growth, of his expanding awareness.
And it's not just the magical creatures.
Right.
There are characters like Luna Lovegood,
Oh, yeah.
who sees the world in this completely unique, almost whimsical way.
Yeah.
She's often dismissed as odd, but she has this incredible strength and resilience.
Luna is such a wonderful example of how Rowling celebrates individuality.
Right.
She's not afraid to be different. And she teaches us that sometimes the people who seem the strangest have the most to offer.
Yeah. And even Neville Longbottom, who starts off as this shy, bumbling kid,
Yeah.
really comes into his own in Order of the Phoenix.
Yes, he does.
He finds his courage, he stands up to his friends,
Yeah.
and starts tapping into his magical potential.
Neville's transformation is one of the most heartwarming aspects of this book, I think.
I agree.
It reminds us that we all have hidden strengths,
Mm.
and sometimes it takes facing our fears to unlock them.
Yeah, think about the impact his parents' story has on him.
Oh, absolutely.
It adds this whole other layer of depth and understanding to his character.
Right. To go through something like that, to witness your parents tortured to insanity and still come out fighting for what's right,
Right.
it's incredibly powerful.
It makes you realize that heroism comes in many forms, not just grand displays of magic.
Absolutely. And this is what makes Order of the Phoenix so relatable, even though it's set in this fantastical world.
Right.
It's about real struggles, real emotions, and that very human desire to find your place, to belong, and to make a difference.
And sometimes that means challenging authority, questioning the status quo,
Right.
and fighting for what you believe in, even when it seems like everyone's against you.
Precisely. Remember that scene where Harry, Ron, and Hermione decide to form Dumbledore's army?
Oh, yeah.
They're essentially going against the entire ministry, putting themselves at risk to fight for what they believe is right. It's a powerful message about taking a stand, even when it's difficult.
And it's not just about learning spells.
Right.
It's about finding community,
Yes.
a sense of purpose. They create this space where they can be themselves, learn from each other, and build each other up.
Yeah.
It's almost like a microcosm of the Order of the Phoenix itself, right?
I love that parallel.
Yeah.
It shows how these smaller acts of resistance, of connection,
Right.
can ripple outwards and have a larger impact. And it ties into one of the most important themes of this book, the power of friendship.
Yes. Harry, Ron, and Hermione's bond is the heart of the story.
It really is.
It's what gets them through the tough times, the doubts, the betrayals.
Yeah.
They fight for each other.
Yeah.
They support each other.
Mm.
And they always have each other's backs.
It's a testament to the enduring power of true friendship.
Right.
And it's not just about the core trio either. We see other friendships blossoming, like Luna and Ginny's connection. They're so different.
Yeah.
But they find common ground in their shared experiences, their willingness to be themselves,
Right.
and their loyalty to their friends.
It reminds us that friendship can be found in unexpected places. And that sometimes the people who seem the most different from us can become our closest allies.
Exactly. And these friendships, these connections, are ultimately what fuel the resistance against Voldemort. It's not just about magic. It's about the strength that comes from unity, from knowing you're not alone.
And that brings us back to the prophecy, right? This mysterious prediction that seems to be driving everything. But it's not just about destiny, is it?
No.
It's about how we interpret those predictions, how we choose to act on them.
You've hit the nail on the head. The prophecy itself is a powerful symbol of fate versus free will. Does Harry have any agency in this story?
Right.
Or is he simply a pawn in a larger game? And the fact that the prophecy is fragmented, incomplete, adds another layer of complexity.
It's like Rowling is saying that even prophecies, these pronouncements of destiny, are subject to interpretation, to manipulation. It makes you question everything you think you know, and it forces you to consider the role of choice, even in a story that seems predetermined.
Precisely, and that's what makes Order of the Phoenix so compelling. It's not just a battle between good and evil. It's a battle of ideas, of beliefs, and of choices. And it's a battle that's fought on multiple levels, from the grand scale of the war against Voldemort to the personal struggles of individual characters.
It's like every character is grappling with their own version of the prophecy, their own sense of destiny. Even someone like Umbridge, who seems so one-dimensional, is driven by her own twisted ideology, her own belief in what's right and wrong.
It's fascinating to consider, isn't it?
Yeah.
How even the villains, the antagonists, are shaped by their own internal narratives. And that makes the story so much richer. Because it's not about simplistic good versus evil. It's about the complexities of human motivation. Those gray areas where right and wrong become blurred.
And that's where Order of the Phoenix really shines, I think.
I think so, too.
It forces us to confront those gray areas, to question our assumptions, and to consider the perspectives of characters we might not initially agree with. It's a book that challenges us to think critically and to engage with the story on a deeper level.
Absolutely. And speaking of engaging with the story, we can't overlook the emotional roller coaster Rowling takes us on in this book.
Oh, yeah.
It's full of moments of heartbreak, loss and despair, but also glimmers of hope, love and resilience.
Oh, definitely. I mean, Sirius's death is a gut punch, no doubt.
It really is.
But then you see Harry's friends rallying around him. The Order coming together to fight back. And you realize that even in the darkest of times, there's still this spark of defiance, this refusal to give up.
And that's the beauty of Order of the Phoenix, isn't it? It doesn't shy away from the darkness. But it also reminds us that even in the face of tragedy, there's still beauty, there's still love, and there's still hope.
And I think that's a message we all need to hear, especially in today's world.
I agree.
It's a reminder that we're not alone in our struggles, that there are people who care, and that even when things seem hopeless, there's always a reason to keep fighting, to keep believing in a better tomorrow.
Beautifully put. And on that note, we've covered so much ground in this deep dive. From the thestrals and the prophecy to the complexities of friendship and the emotional roller coaster of loss and resilience. Order of the Phoenix is a book that never fails to surprise and inspire.
And I know our listeners are eager to hear your final thoughts, your concluding insights on this incredible book. We've got one last part to go, so don't go anywhere. And we are back for the final part of our deep dive into Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix.
Back again!
I have to say, like, every time we do one of these, I'm amazed by how much there is to discover. Even in books we think we know inside and out.
It's a testament to Rowling's skill as a writer, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, she packs so much meaning into every detail, every name, every symbol. And it's those layers that keep us coming back to her stories years after we first read them.
Totally. So for this last part, let's zoom in on some of those symbols and hidden meanings.
Okay.
We touched on the thestrals and the prophecy earlier.
Yeah.
But there's so much more to uncover.
Where would you like to start?
Let's talk names.
Okay.
I've always been fascinated by how Rowling chooses names that perfectly capture the essence of her characters. Like Sirius Black.
Yes.
Such a fitting name for him, right?
It is.
Sirius, the brightest star in the sky, reflecting his brilliance and charisma. But then there's Black, hinting at the darkness in his past, his family's history.
It's such a clever use of symbolism. In his analogous form, a black dog adds another layer. Dogs are often associated with loyalty and protection, which fits Sirius's role as Harry's godfather. But a black dog can also have more sinister connotations, foreshadowing his tragic fate.
It's like his name and his animal form are telling two sides of the same story. This constant struggle between light and darkness that defines his character.
Exactly. And think about Luna Lovegood. Her name is just as evocative. Luna, meaning moon, hinting at her dreaminess, her otherworldly perspective, and Lovegood reflecting her kind heart and her unwavering belief in the good in everyone.
Luna is such a breath of fresh air in the often serious world of Order of the Phoenix. She reminds us to embrace our individuality, to see the world with open minds and open hearts, and to never lose sight of the magic that exists, even in the darkest of times.
Beautifully said. And it's not just individual names. The title Order of the Phoenix itself is loaded with meaning. The phoenix, rising from its own ashes, is a powerful symbol of rebirth, renewal, and the triumph of hope over despair.
It's the perfect metaphor for the resistance against Voldemort, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
This idea that even when all seems lost, there's always a spark of hope, a flicker of light that can ignite a flame of defiance.
Precisely. And the Order itself. This secret society of witches and wizards who stand against the darkness represents the courage and determination it takes to fight for what's right, even when the odds are stacked against you.
It's inspiring, really, to see these characters. Some of them ordinary people like Mr. and Mrs. Weasley, putting their lives on the line to protect others, to fight for a better world.
It really is.
It makes you realize that heroism isn't about grand displays of power. It's about those small acts of courage. The choices we make every day to stand up for what we believe in.
And those choices, as we've seen throughout this deep dive, aren't always easy.
No.
They often come at a cost, a sacrifice, a loss. But Order of the Phoenix reminds us that even in the face of those losses, there's still beauty, there's still love, and there's still hope.
And there's power in remembering those who we've lost, honoring their sacrifices, and carrying their spirit with us as we continue the fight.
So true. Now, before we wrap up, I have to ask, what stands out to you, listener, from all we've discussed? What image, idea, or moment from these excerpts is sticking with you most strongly?
We love hearing your thoughts. Leave a comment and let us know what resonated with you, what new insights you gained, or what questions you're still pondering.
And of course, if you've enjoyed this deep dive into Order of the Phoenix, be sure to subscribe and follow our channel for more explorations of fascinating topics.
And if you're feeling extra generous, you can support us on Patreon. Your contributions help us keep these deep dives coming and ensure that everyone has access to thought-provoking conversations about the things that matter.
You can find the link in the description. Every little bit helps, and we truly appreciate your support.
Thanks for joining us on this magical journey through Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep the love of learning alive.